Right, I've got a few minutes before I go in and pick my son up from school. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to answer one person. Just one person I'm answering. It was a commenter. I'll see if I can put it on screen. Someone asked, how did I become self-employed? So I thought, do you know what? Just make a quick video. I'll talk about my career so you can understand how I became a self-employed plumber. Good title. There you go. Done. There's a title. So I started out when I was 14 years old, when I got some work experience. It was someone that my dad knew, and he got me some work experience, just labouring. That's all I was doing, ripping out kitchens, which I loved. I thought it was the best job ever. I get to smash stuff up with a hammer. And apart from the wallpaper stripping, didn't really like wallpaper stripping. I used to do my head in. But from the age of 14, I was grafting. So I did that formal actual work experience through the school. As we all do as British students, we all do a week's work experience. And yeah, so even before that, when I was 14, I can't remember when you do it. I think you're 15 when you do work experience. But yeah, I was doing that on summer holidays. So my first summer holiday in year 9, I think it is, or year 8, I started doing some labouring. I begged my dad, can you get me a job? I want to do whatever. And he found me a job labouring, ripping out kitchens. And they used to pay me £30 a day, which was amazing. 30 quid a day when you're an adolescent, it seems like a lot. And it was nice. I could buy myself a new pair of trainers. On the weekends when I used to meet up with my mates, I used to ball it and go, hey, who wants a bag of chips? It's on me. I'll get a crate of beer, you know. So when I left school, I stayed with them for years, literally years doing it. Every summer holiday, whenever I could really. In fact, the school let me take 1 day a week off in my last year, and I used to go with them labouring. And then when I left school, he took me on full time, just as a labourer. And then after about 6 months to a year working as a labourer, he brought me into the office. I thought, oh no, what have I done now? And he said, I'd like to offer you an apprenticeship. Would you like to be a carpenter? So originally I was going to be a carpenter. And I started working with the carpenters for a bit, fitting kitchens. Everything bar the worktop. They'd never let me touch a worktop. It was like, nah, you're not fucking that up. And then I actually said to the boss, I reckon I should do a day with the plumber, because I can fit the kitchen sinks. But in my head I was thinking, nah, I've met this guy and he's a legend and I really want to work with him. And apparently he gets paid more than the carpenters. And I thought, how does he get paid more than the carpenters? It seems like he does fuck all. And I'd rather get paid more to do less. And that is exactly what I did. I went and worked with him for a week, and then when it come to the open day at Malton College in Northampton, because that's where I'm from, I went in there and I signed up for plumbing. And my boss calls me up and he says, I thought you wanted to be a carpenter. I said, oh, I want to be a plumber. And I hadn't discussed this with him prior. And I thought, he's going to be really fuming, and he's basically just going to say, no, you're being a carpenter, I'm putting you on there. But he didn't. He just said, oh, fair enough. He did ask me why, and I was honest with him, and I just said, look, you're a businessman. Why would I want to be a carpenter when plumbers get paid more? And he said, yeah, fair enough. Also, I thought about it and was like, wow, less power tools that you have to buy, which is a big expense. So yeah, I'll become a plumbing apprentice. And then I worked that job for 3 or 4 years, and then I left. I went and worked self-employed, but subbing to a company, which was great because at the end of the tax year, you used to always get a rebate because it was PAYE. So yeah, you wore their t-shirts, you drove their van, but at the end of the day, you are technically self-employed. You don't get a holiday pay, you don't get sick pay. So I went and worked for a company called DZ Management, which I absolutely love. It's the best employed job I've ever had, semi-employed job. And then they run out of work. Basically, they run out of work. Otherwise, I'd have stuck with them. They ran out of work for me. So I set up on my own, and I was only like, 21 years old, as House of Ferry Plumbing and Heating. Don't know why I chose that name. Boring name, terrible name. I'm so glad I'm now Professor Plum. I don't know if I'll give this guy enough room to get out. No, I don't think I have I? Probably not. I don't know, let's move forward a little bit. Yeah, I started up on my own. The business completely failed. I only got my work through mybuilder.com, which was dribs and drabs, and I didn't know what to charge. I was charging 20, 30 quid to fit a set of taps. Not worth the money. Didn't know about. And I had this little Volkswagen Caddy, and yeah, I tried it, but I was too young, too immature, and the business failed. So I went and worked for a company, for a housing association called Cotsway Housing, and I worked there for 7 bloody years. 7 years. Loved that job. Fantastic. Couldn't beat it. You got so many benefits with it. You got a mobile phone with all your phone bill paid. You got a tablet. You got an iPad with unlimited internet. You could use it for personal use. You got gym membership. You used to get, you could get a bonus if you rid your bike into work. Not that I lived anywhere near, but you got the van all paid for. You always had a brand new van. So I had what I've got now actually, Transit Custom 2014 plate, because that was new at the time. So that shows when I was there. And then I worked that job, loved that job, thought it was brilliant. I was originally on there as a bathroom fitter. I did bathroom fitting for 3 of those years, I'd say, and then the other 4 they did a fire and rehire sort of thing, and I reapplied as just a plumber. So I didn't tick the box that said I could do tiling. They said, why can't you do tiling? You've been a bathroom fitter for 3 years. We wanted you to apply as a bathroom fitter. And I said, no, why would I do that? We all get paid the same amount of money, and those fuckers on the repair team, I seem to keep seeing them with their feet up on the dashboard, watching their iPad, watching YouTube. Oh, I didn't say that, obviously, but I was thinking that. So I went on to the repairs team, and I stayed on the repairs team for a long while. And then I used to do 1 week on repairs, 1 week working, doing heating systems with a guy called Pete. Pete. And I'd do all the radiators, I'd do all the pipe work, and he'd be on the boiler, and he'd hang the boiler, do the flue, sign it off, all the rest. And I was just basically just doing the radiators. And I loved it working with him, actually, because he was brilliant and he taught me a lot of stuff. But over my career, I've worked with loads of different people, countless different plumbers, and they've all taught me something different. And some of them were terrible plumbers, to be honest with you. Some of them were brilliant plumbers. Some of them were brilliant plumbers, but they was arseholes. And some of them were shit plumbers, but they was really nice. So it is what it is. I work with lots of gas engineers, lots of heating engineers, more than I did with just plumbers. So my sort of role usually was, they got on with the gas, they did the gas pipe, they did the boiler, and I'm running around doing hot and colds and doing all the radiators and stuff. But yeah, the maintenance team taught me a lot of basically what I do now, which is fixing toilets, fixing blockages, fixing basins, dripping taps, all that sort of stuff. Actually, I learned a lot through doing that. Even though majority of the time it's the same set of taps, it's the same toilet, it's the same everything, because it's social housing. So you didn't see too much variation, really. A lot of Dudley Turbo siphons, and then anything else was usually a fluid master with a cable on the top. I knew all the parts. I knew that every tap cartridge that I ever fit was going to be a B6 tap cartridge, because they were all the cheap Bristan ones. They probably change your cartridges now, but I knew everything, every part that I ever needed, and I kept amazing van stock, and I had a lovely van. So I was on there for 7 years. Then greed killed me, really, because I went on to work for the original company that I started out as an apprentice, which is never a good thing. You should never go back to where you was an apprentice, because everyone remembers you being a 14, 15, 16-year-old, and they don't want to treat you as the 25, 26-year-old that you now are. But they offered me a lot of money per day. It was something like 280 subbing, which is fucking good money, yeah? 280 a day. But within, the first 4 weeks that I was there, I drove that van back home, and it was an old, shitty old transit van. Old thing, horrible it was. Didn't look very nice, and it was all dented and dinked up. It weren't the most greatest van in the world. And the first day that I brought it back, after going in my own vehicle for a bit, someone broke into it. Broad daylight, in the car park right next to my flats. Just took everything. There was £12,000 worth of power tools, because obviously being a bathroom fitter, I had a lot of other stuff like chop saws and planers and things like that. And all that was gone. Inspection camera. I'm trying to think, there was some really more obscure sort of stuff. Jigsaw, like I've never brought a new jigsaw or anything. Core drill, because obviously I had to do core drilling for the waste pipes and stuff. All that gone overnight. So went into the boss, was really upset, really upset about it all. It really put me in a bad place mentally. It severely affected my work and everything, because I was just so down about it. And on top of that, the boss said, well, you're not a plumber anymore, are you? If you haven't got the tools, how can I call you a plumber? You're going to have to go labouring. Yeah? Knocking down walls, scooping up rubble, throwing it down a chute at a place in Swindon, which was a shithole. It was a prisoner rehabilitation centre that they was doing up. It stunk. It was horrible. To be honest with you, not a lot of the guys on there like me. I just clashed in personality-wise. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's just personality-wise we didn't get on. That particular group that was on that job. So I was just getting more and more down and depressed. And my boss brought me in, was like, oh, they say you're not getting on with the lads and blah, blah, blah. And I just said, look, I'm really depressed and blah, blah, blah. So he basically sat me on the spot. Just said, look, I can't have someone that's depressed working for me. What if you offed yourself in one of my vehicles? And that's honest to God what he said. I can't have that. So he kind of tried to sweeten the deal by like going, oh, I'll give you a bit of money that will help you along. So he gave me something like $3,000 and said, off your pop, I don't want you no more. Weird. Anyway, COVID hit. So that was exactly when COVID happened. So we're in lockdown. Everything's crap. I moved back in with my parents. When I was, out of home, I'd left home and everything at that point for quite a while, for a few years. And then I'm like, not jobless, it's COVID. I've moved back in with my parents, and all I've got is this $3,000 and also no tools, right? So that $3,000, I brought a load of tools, yeah? Brought a load of tools back, grand's worth of tools, and it was enough just to, why does that look weird on camera? My hand looks weird on camera. What? It's like golden. The hell? It's not in real life. I don't get that. So that freaked me out then. So I spent the money on new power tools like combi drill, driver, SDS, a few bits that I've still got, a load of hand tools that I've still got, what did I get? I got a little car. Got my little Peugeot 206, a little Peugeot 206 GTI, and I put the money down on a place. Also, yeah, Litlam was due. So my ex was pregnant with Litlam, so I knew that she was pregnant when I got sacked as well, which was obviously, you know, all that extra pressure was building on top of me, and that's why I was so depressed, that just everything was going wrong, and I'm bringing a life into the world. This is the worst, most unideal thing that could possibly happen. And so yeah, and then I went and moved into this little tiny place next to a pub that when you open the windows in the summer it stunk because the bins were outside of it, and it was a just crap situation, but I needed to be out closer to my son for when he was born and everything else. And I was literally scraping by my rent by, one, I was on Universal Credit, two, I was buying and selling retro football shirts and selling stuff on eBay. And then I was like, right, I'm done with looking for another job, because in my head it was like, right, I need to find another plumbing job. Well, during COVID, you're not finding a plumbing job. I was labouring for a guy called Roy, who took me on, knocking down a load of council garages, to just literally just knocking them down, flattening them, which was good fun. Phone died, so I've gone in the spare room, which is just a big empty room at the minute, because my mate moved out. So, and Litland's, he's fine, he's painting. So I'm going to finish off the story where I left off. Right, so I was living in a shitty little flat. I had a few tools, enough to sort of get me by. I was working for a guy called Roy, labouring as and when, a week here, a week there. And I was on Universal Credit, and that's why I'm not judgmental of people on benefits and stuff, because I was on Universal Credit. Now, the thing is with Universal Credit, it means that you can still work and you can still earn money, and then you just, you know, it's all accounted for, and then you get paid less if you've earned more. So it gets you back into work, and it gets you on your feet, and it helps you pay for a roof above your head. So I had this little place. It's about £600 a month, this tiny little one-bed flat, working for Roy, which helped me get some money together. And I literally, every penny that I had was either going towards nappies and wet wipes and the bare essentials that I could afford. Some, you know, literally newborn, baby. So, couple of toys, couple of second-hand bits and bobs. It was weird having your first kid and having to buy stuff second-hand and stuff. And it was it was just a point where I was struggling. I was really struggling mentally, struggling financially, struggling, and it got to the point where Roy could only give me so much work. It was great whilst it lasted, but I had a real windfall, and the lads that I work with on that job don't know about this, right? They don't know about this. So I want to tell you something that happened. It was just a stroke of luck. To someone who is struggling to get by, I had the biggest turn of luck. So we was clearing out these garages. Now, some of them were full up with stuff. And my job was to get it out the garage, throw it in a tip before they knocked it down. So we open up this garage, and it was a guy who had moved and emigrated in 2001. Bit of investigation work, because the newest thing in there was 2001. So the lads run in there, they grab a Henry Hoover, a bottle of whiskey. I don't know why you drink a bottle of whiskey. It's been in a garage since 2001. But they went in there and they grabbed a few bits, because it obviously emigrated, and it was his furniture. It was like sofas, office chairs, some bits and bobs, magazines, dirty bloody magazines, and racks of CDs, because obviously CDs were a thing. A lot of VHS tapes in a box and stuff like that. And they literally were like, "You two, out of the way," because it was me and this lad called Tommy, who was the labourer on there. So big up Tommy. I actually went to school with him, who was in the year above me, and he was Roy's son. And anyway, they went in there, they trashed this place, they turned it over, and they said, "Right, you two, get in there, clear it out." Like, all right, okay. So we went in there, sort of, you know, having a little look around, see if there was anything interesting left over that they hadn't spotted, and my eyes lit up. I saw in a corner, they tipped a box over, and there was all these soldiers all over the floor, little soldiers, 8mm, 10mm, soldiers. Warhammer, yeah. So some of you guys are not nerdy enough to know what I'm on about, but I knew that they were valuable. So I picked up this box and it was huge. And I took it over to my uncle, who is a bit of a history buff. And he went through all of the figures and divided them all up. And he called me up and he was like, I'm gobsmacked, because he's a war gamer, right? There is so much here. There is Vietnam stuff, there's this, there's that, there's all these factions. I've literally got to get a book and look up the uniforms and everything to work out all the factions and this and that. So we did that. And I said, do you reckon they're worth some money? I said, look, I'll cut you in, I'll give you a bit, because you've helped me sort them out and you know what to do with them. And anyway, we put them on Facebook and we put them on eBay. And they sold immediately, like really, really quick, like for a few £100 each, like for these sets. And then I was like, I'll stick it on eBay, I'll stick it on an auction. Now, there was this one set of Vietnam figures, right? It's irrelevant, but the point is, they sold at auction for $3,000. $3,000! And I went, right, the other lads that worked on there, that were the bricklayers and the sort of lads that were above us, dirty bloody labourers, didn't know about this. They went, oh, we're going to have them figures? I was like, yeah, I know a little boy that will want them. That's exactly what I said. I sold them for, altogether, it was like $3-4 grand. And I was like, oh my God, I've got this windfall. I'm going to do something with it. So what I did was, I said, I'm going to set up a business. And my sister, at the time, before she went off to university, lived locally. She come round my flat. We were sat there. We made a Facebook page. The Facebook page I still got, which was Professor Plum. Now, we were sat there. We was like, oh, I need to come up with a name. It's only temporary because I need just to do some work, earn some money, and until I find another job. Because in my head, I needed a employed job with a van and security and holiday pay and sick pay. So we sat there and, you know, if I'd have put loads of thought into it, knowing that it was going to be forever and ever and ever, or up until now, I would have probably picked a really boring name like SJ Ferry Plumbing and Heating. But no, I didn't. I decided I wanted it to sound like a local handyman, tradesman, friendly, reliable, all them things that I wanted it to be, that I could get work quite quick just through Facebook. I come up with Dr. Plum. And my sister turned around. So I've got to give my sister credit. She said, nah, what about Professor Plum? PP, Professor Plum. It rolls off the tongue. And I said, yeah, that sounds really good. So we set up this Facebook page, Professor Plum, found some crappy little cartoon, stuck that on there. It was this guy with wiry hair like a professor, and we had nicked that logo from someone else. Put it on Facebook, and I started getting some work in, just slowly trickling in. Didn't know what to charge, but there's a local merchants, got to meet them, set up an account, blah blah blah. Started going out, started doing jobs, and I was going, oh my God, I can come off universal credit. I'm earning enough money that I'm coming off universal credit. And that was such a big achievement for me. It felt like a lot because I was so down and out. And then I'm actually making the money myself, and I can afford to buy some luxury things. And when I'm saying luxury things, I'm talking like new clothes for my baby, new toys for my baby. Yeah, it was amazing. I'm quite emotional about it because at the end of the day, it's like turned my life around. And I remember getting some magnetic signs, and bearing in mind, this was all in a Peugeot 206. Yeah, right. Got some magnetic signs. Started doing TikTok in 2000 because it was about 2001 by then. After you know, going off and doing loads of little jobs. And then my mum said, oh, I'm selling my old van. And I said, Mum, can I have it? But I'll pay you back weekly or whatever. And she was like, okay. So I got my first little white Corsa van. Little Vauxhall Corsa van thing. Combo, that's what they call it, Vauxhall Combo. And I loved it. I thought, oh my God, I look so professional. I've got a van. And every spare penny that I had that was to myself got spent on new tools, right? New tools that could help me further my career. And there we go. That is literally how Professor Plum started. I didn't have anything in the pipeline. Yeah, there was no, oh, I need to get a van, I need to get public liability, I need to do this and that. It was like, no, pure necessity. I need to earn some money. I've got a child. Yeah, I need to keep a roof above my head. And through the TikTok, that helped a lot, because I don't know whether it was good advertising or what, but obviously that went from like a fun little stupid thing, and that really rapidly grew, like 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, 70,000, 80,000 followers over on there, plus 20,000 or whatever it is on Instagram, but that was a lot later on. Very, very randomly. Let me sort him out. I've got wrap this up because he wants to play. Yeah, that really took off, and that helped me do things in my career. It did help me out with some free tools and free materials, I'm not going to lie. To be honest with you, the whole thing was a joke, to be honest with you, as far as I was concerned, because I was kind of like, what's social media? Never heard of like plumbers doing social media. Never cropped into my head. I'd never watched PB Plumber or Alan Hart or these other people. I had no idea about them. I mean, when I had like 30,000 followers, I had no idea who any of these people were. And then when I did catch wind of, like, just as I was scrolling, seeing people like selling CT1 and Tradeify and stuff, I used to kind of take the piss and make mock videos and stuff, which hasn't really helped me out. Hasn't made me any friends. You know, I've certainly pissed off a few people, just because I never actually thought that it was any way like a serious thing. I still don't take it seriously. Obviously, you can hear the way that I talk. I'm not exactly the most PC sort of non-swearing, fluffy sort of person. I'm still a bit abrasive, but yeah, I mean, I just didn't take it seriously, and then obviously it ended up to a point where there was one time where I was making decent money from TikTok because I was doing it regularly. And then I got comfortable. Like last year, it was so nice to have a load of savings and stuff. And although since I've been self-employed, and obviously the business is as old as my son, he'll be 5 in July, and that is how old the business is basically. So yeah, 5 years I've been doing this. You know, I got upgraded the van once, now twice. So that's like me seeing the business grow. I was able to save a load of money for last year. Obviously, I got my tax bill and I was like really like going, fuck, I didn't realise how much it would be, but I put the money aside. So I paid my tax bill. I spent four and a half grand on the van, plus my 5 grand tax bill. So like the 10 grand I had saved up is just gone. Oh shit, it's gone. And then the worst time in ever, obviously the engine's blown up and now I've got to sort that out. But I'm in a situation where I can afford to pay my rent, I can afford to pay my bills, I can afford to give my son experiences, not material stuff, because I don't want him to grow up as a materialistic person, because I'm not. Me personally, I'm not fussed about things. I like going to charity shops and buying. I don't support Bath. It looked cool. It was in a charity shop. I just want to make good videos. Like, that's my little thing that I do on the side, but it don't cost me any money because it's just what I do for work. It's nothing special. The money that I spend on myself is either new tools, which now I keep them in a cupboard upstairs in my house, out the way, because of that horrendous time of having the tools stolen, which was just devastating. It really was. I'd gone from someone that had such an amazing collection of like tools that were safe and secure to getting this crappy little van which got broke into immediately, at a new job. Then COVID happened. It was a bad period of my life, to be honest with you. It was the worst period of my life. But if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be self-employed and I wouldn't be here talking to you guys. I would still be you know, if I chose a safer path, I'd have not left. I'd have still been on the council. I'd have still been working for them. I'd have still been putting into my pension pot. I'd have still been taking holiday willy-nilly because I had plenty of holiday and taking sick days whenever I fancied it. But not really progressing and creating something that is my own. Now, the thing about being self-employed is it's my own. It's my own business. It's my own name. It's my customers, my jobs, my money, 100%, apart from the fuckload that you have to give to the tax man, which pisses me off. But for the first 2-3 years, I wasn't actually like technically profitable, so it weren't too bad. I've only been paying a few £100s, and then this year, big tax bill, you know, because I claim for everything. Obviously, it was a good year for TikTok and stuff like that. All that money got put through the books. But it's that pride, knowing that things are your own, that you're building it up and you're doing what you can. And that's why being self-employed is amazing. I wouldn't ever go back employed. I wouldn't want to work for someone else. But it's hard. It's not easy at all. And it doesn't take a lot to really kick some shit in your eyes when you're down. But that chance of having the little bit of freedom that you can get in the UK, the little bit of freedom that you can get is by being self-employed and not having a boss. Customer's your boss. You're your own boss. But you don't have a boss that's going, oh, we haven't handed in your timesheets. I can see on the tracker that you did 2 miles an hour over the speed limit. Oh, someone's just called up and said you parked in front of their house, even though it's just a curb and you've got tax on your van. You can turn around and this is how I sum up being self-employed. It's having the ability to tell someone to fuck off and not getting in, you know, not getting sacked, but not actually using that power, but you know you got it. And it's nice to know that you've got that in your arsenal, even though you never use it. So there we go. Right, that's how I become self-employed. I love you all. Peace out. Hit the subscribe button if you want to. Helps out. Hit the like button, because that would just be common courtesy, to be honest with you. Right, ta-ra!